In just a few hours, California Governor Gavin Newsom set to give what his team is billing as a major announcement on redistricting. Newsom giving us a preview in a series of Trump-like social media posts saying he'll push for congressional maps that are more favorable to Democrats after the president's push for more red seats in Texas. And quoting Newsom here, I, your favorite governor, Gavin Christopher Newsom, offered the best, most amazing deal in history. Stop rigging Texas maps and California won't make ours more beautiful. That's just a little sample. Let's bring in former Democratic Senator from California, Barbara Boxer, and former Republican Congressman from Florida, Carlos Curbelo, who's also an MSNBC political analyst. Guys, good to have you. So there's the substance and then there's style here to talk about as well. Let's start with the substance. Senator Boxer, Gavin Newsom is plowing ahead. He's going to do this redistricting, he says, in California, even though Texas hasn't gotten its plan through. Is it the right move? And will California voters get on board, do you think?
I do think so. And I do think it's the right move. Democrats have to fight back. And, you know, we just can't sit back and say, oh, woe is me, this is terrible. Let's step back for a minute and look at the whole situation. Right now, 7 states have nonpartisan commissions that have the authority to draw the lines. The rest of the states don't have it. Out of those 7 states, 6 are Democratic states. So everybody else is gerrymandering. Do I like gerrymandering? No. That means, for the sake of the public listening, it's drawing the lines to benefit one party. But that is the way it is at this point. So if we sit back while Texas goes right forward and answers Trump, who says, I want to find just 5 seats. It's like he wanted to find 11,000 votes. Get me 5 seats. Governor Abbott is absolutely crazed to get this done, bending the knee. So I think Gavin Newsom is right. And by the way, I think that's hysterical that he's adopting the same type of, craziness as Trump is. I mean, you have to have a sense of humor here. And I think that's what he's showing he has. Yeah.
It's entertaining, I guess. Congressman, when you look at those tactics, it is very Trumpian. That all caps. It was an insult-filled message saying the president always chickens out, is weak, has little hands. Of course, we've seen other Trump opponents try to copy his style before, and it doesn't always go well for them. What do you make of this strategy? Is it effective?
Well, it seems like Governor Newsom is taking a page out of the South Park strategy, right? They've been pretty successful here in the early going at making fun of the president, and he thinks this is good for him. He's a Democrat, so I think it will work out. I think Democrats will appreciate this kind of humor. We know that the president usually doesn't. He doesn't really enjoy when people make fun of him. So I think this is Newsom number one. Trying to ingratiate himself to Democratic voters, maybe ahead of a potential presidential campaign in 2028. And he's also trying to get under Donald Trump's skin, which sometimes the president does kind of react and shows a little anger. And that would be good for Newsom, too. So I think for him, it makes a lot of sense.
I guess it's an example of fighting fire with fire, but in the war of words in this case. Meanwhile, in Texas, those Democrats are now weighing their end game to return home. They can't stay out of Texas forever. They seem to be declaring victory, even though they won't be able to block the redistricting for good, as the governor there has said he's just going to call another special session on Friday when this one ends. Here's what state Democratic leader Jean Wu on Meet the Press Now had to say.
We wanted to light a fire. We wanted to light a fire across the nation, warning all other states, all other good Americans, what is in store for them, what the danger is for them.
Senator, were they successful here, or is it still too early to call?
Look, in terms of where they're successful, they took a moral stand, and they took a lot of, incoming fire for it in a very bad way. But to me, they're heroes because they did call attention to this. What MAGA likes to do is go after you with a smile on their face, and you don't know you've been had. But I think they've made that point very clearly. And they, frankly, called attention to what redistricting is. This is not an easy topic to explain to people. You know, I've tried my whole life to make it as simple as I can. How do you draw these lines? Who benefits? And let me just say clearly, there are bills right now in the House, and they're bipartisan, to ban gerrymandering, to have these commissions, nonpartisan, draw the lines as the founders really conceived of it. Every 10 years in a fair way, communities of interest are in the same district, and there's no partisan leaning. And as I said, only 7 states did it, and most of those are Democratic. So that's where we stand. Am I grateful to the Texans? I love them. I think they're brave. I think they put themselves out on the line and, you know, for their country. And yes, it helped Gavin Newsom bring the point home here to California. Last point I would make is there are other states that are looking at this. And, you know, this thing could go on. And it may well. You may see more Democratic states doing this and more Republican states doing this. So it's not a pretty picture. I don't like it, but it is what it is. And Democrats are sick and tired of sitting back. We're going to step up, and we are going to, as you said, Ana, fight fire with fire.
Shifting gears to Washington, Congressman, the president already is saying he's going to ask Congress to extend the National Guard's 30-day deployment there in D.C. That provoked a strong response, to say the least, from Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. Take a listen.
And if he went to Congress and said, you know what, there's this crime emergency, we need the National Guard out there longer, we need to take over Washington, D.C., would you grant it?
No way. We'll fight him tooth and nail. Not only are we not going to approve it, but I have there are some Republicans who don't like it either. This is, again, just a distraction. He's afraid of Epstein. He's afraid of all that. And we are not going to be, we are not going to give up on Epstein.
Congressman, he says some Republicans don't like it either, but will they ultimately back the president?
Well, I don't see too many Republicans, at least publicly, opposing the president. And Ana, this is a case where the how is the problem here. Look, the city of Washington, D.C. could use a lot of help. For example, school attendance is a major challenge, and that is leading to some increases in crime. The federal government could definitely partner with the city to improve that situation, to support the city in some of its other functions. There is obviously a major federal interest there. The whole federal government is based there. So the what, I think, makes a lot of sense, and I think most Americans can get behind the how. This hostile takeover of a city. And then, after what we saw in Los Angeles and the possibility of this happening in other parts of the country, that's why Democrats can't get behind it. That's probably why some Republicans, at least privately, oppose it. But what's the true shame here is that there is a lot that can be done through partnership to improve the status quo in D.C., to make the city safer, cleaner, to make sure that youth there are getting a good education. But this is not the most constructive way to do it, even though politically this is something that works for the president with his base, because they do like the idea of the president confronting some of these big cities governed by Democrats.
And everybody could say no to crime, right? Although I wonder, Senator, do you think the president here is trying to goad Democrats into appearing to be pro-crime?
No, I don't think that's his main issue. I think his main issue is diverting from the Epstein files. This president doesn't want you to look over there. And what's happening is, as days go on, we see more and more photos of him with little girls and Epstein. It makes us sick. He cannot take it. So what better way than to do this? Now, I agree with Carlos 100%. Crime is an issue everywhere. By the way, if you want to look at the most gun deaths per capita, the top 4 states are red states where they have the most gun deaths. So why not do what Bill Clinton did? I was there in the 90s. Call in the red states, the blue states, the cities, and yes, sit down, talk about truancy, talk about the crime. One crime is a crime Too many. Last point. What we did in the 90s is we started community policing. We had an assault weapons ban. We had the Violence Against Women Act. We toughened up penalties. Some of them we didn't do right. But overall, it was the biggest drop in crime. So if he's sincere, I agree with Carlos. Let's get with it. He's not sincere. He just doesn't want us to look at the Epstein files. That is so clear to me.
Former Senator Barbara Boxer, former Congressman Carlos Curbelo. Appreciate the conversation. Thank you.